We've got a sort of a, I mean, it's always a sad topic pretty much on this show because we discuss the wanton destruction of a previously prosperous nation. Jimmy and JoAnne, you're both looking very sharp today. How are you?
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, Jason. We're doing good.
We've really got a kind of a. There's two reasons we're doing the show tonight like we are. First, JoAnne and I are constantly attacked. We're constantly challenged about our credentials and who we are and what we've done and what we really did in Libya and all that. And so we're bringing out some really definitive proof. We're showing visas from 2008. Nobody has a visa that old. In addition to that, we've had some very disturbing information from Libya that all the museums, especially the one in Tripoli, have been completely looted. Everything's stolen out of them. They've destroyed the cabinets, and so we've got photos tonight that will probably never be able to be seen again. These are photos inside of that museum that we took ourselves, and you'll see a lot of beautiful artifacts, much better, more beautiful stuff than you see in Rome because the city in Libya that the Romans built was their largest city, period. And so there's a huge amount of history. All that's been stolen by the mercenaries and rats that were deposited into Libya and took the country over. So lots and lots of photos that will never, information has never been seen before, really probably won't never be seen again.
All this stuff was protected by Libya. The Libyan people had a great respect for it. The leaders of Libya had a great respect for it, and it was taken care of very nicely and protected. They found other things later. They found Rommel's headquarters. I think that was about in 2006 or 7. I can't remember. They had an earth mover that fell into the ground over by, I think, Tripoli, by Tobruk, yeah. And Rommel's desk was there. They said everything, even his glasses were laying on the desk. And they asked Gaddafi what to do, and he said, cover it up and seal it up. He said, it belongs to the world. The world needs to decide what to do with that.
Well, and that's the
so
thing.
It's still there.
This is like an atrocity against humankind. This is historic artifacts, and to destroy this kind of stuff, it really makes you wonder what type of person, I mean, killing people, obviously horrible. I'm not saying this is worse, but when you're killing people in a war, arguably there's some strategic need to do it. Destroying these artifacts is just, why do that?
Well, it makes no sense at all.
A lot of them were stolen, Jason, taken, and they tried to market them.
They did sell them.
Yeah, we had Libyans call us and say they're trying to market these artifacts here. Look at this guy. Look at this. They showed us a lot of stuff in the past. So they were stolen to just to rape the country,
Right.
But it rapes humanity. It rapes the history of the world.
JoAnne's degree from university that can be verified by anybody if you ask her to do it, but she's a museum history, real specialized degree. And so JoAnne, first trip into Libya, she fell in love with Libya because of the tremendous amount of history that Libya has. We never visioned at all the depth of the history of that country. You go back, really, that culture is 8,000 years old, but the Roman influence in there and all that time that Rome was developing and building the Mediterranean, they were doing it in Libya, not in Italy and other areas, not in Greece. It was done in Libya. So it's a really unique place. And so JoAnne fell in love with it from that standpoint. I liked it a whole lot because the Libyans didn't have any relationship with any Khazarian mafia bank internationally. They had no banking relationships, period. So they were like a baby's new bottom. They were really, a very, very clean country.
Their international wiring service was Western Union.
Yeah.
Well,
a really unique place,
that's,
but it's a shame.
That's interesting because, I mean, it should be that way, right? Banking is an industry. We should have competing companies where maybe this country uses Western Union and then you've got PayPal and these other things instead of one centralized bank. Whenever there's a central control of power, it seems to be abused. We've got some commenters posing a question to you two. Lady Justice is asking, who destroyed these museums?
The mercenaries that were brought in there were 250,000 mercenaries brought in 2011 to take over the country. And then, of course, they were just turned over. The militias and these CIA Mossad operatives that were in Libya were just given the country to do with whatever they wanted, because the ultimate goal was destroy Libya, rape it for all its natural resources, make sure that nobody else ever again attempted to establish an international bank to compete with the Fed and the European Central Bank, etc. The same owners,
Wow.
the Khazarian Mafia, the Bilderbergs, those same bad guys, Rockefeller, Medici, the Rothschild. That's the banking cartel, and of course they bought the United States. They really began in 1909. If everybody will read The Creature from Jekyll Island, they'll see where that takeover of the United States started. They stole all the gold from the royal family in China under the pretense of setting up a central bank. It's a real terrible thing, but the guys that went in there to rape that country had no regard at all for history or the culture or anything. And that's the same thing that's happening here in the United States. We're having our history is being dismantled here. History in Syria is being dismantled. Every place that the United States goes in to promote their phony democracy, which is what they're doing, is they destroy those cultures.
Well,
the United States is responsible for destroying 70 to 80 countries. And Libya, we know it because we saw it.
Yeah, Libya, when you destroy a culture and a country, you work downwards or upwards, however you want to say it, and then you work to destroy the sovereignty of that country, and you work towards your new world order. So that we all come from the same background, we all come from the same culture, nobody knows anything or remembers anything about their history. And what we saw, Jason, in August of 2011, when NATO came in and bombed their way into Tripoli and took over Tripoli and brought in all these little cars of criminal bearded mercenaries and terrorists, they just gave them Tripoli. They brought their black helicopters in and mowed people down in the streets. They killed 1,300 people in the first hour and wounded over 5,000. They couldn't break into Tripoli. Tripoli was so founded in their government. They stood by their government, and so they couldn't break into it. So they just decided to take it over, and they just blew it up. They just came in with their weapons and their planes and blew it up. And then they brought in all these mercenaries and just handed them Tripoli. We watched them. They went into stores, took whatever they want. They went into people's houses. They took women. They took cars. They stopped people on the street and took all their money, took their girl. If they had children, they took the children and sold them. They did whatever they wanted. There was no law and order.
Jesse James on steroids and no Matt Dillon anywhere to be found.
Wow. Now, let me just interject something here very interesting, because I've noticed this, and now we've got our commenters speaking about it as well. I could literally go live walking down the street with nobody at all on the show, and within minutes, 200, 300, 400 people show up. Right now, we've been live for 8 minutes. We've got 73 people watching, and it seems strange. And then now, Old School has said to me that Old School believes this broadcast is being shadow banned and that there was no notification, and other people are confirming the same. So it's interesting to note that anything and everything that Jimmy and JoAnne do to try to get this word out is soft-killed, it's blacklisted, it's just constantly suppressed. So it is really important for the people who are viewing right now to manually share this video. Email it to people who think that Hillary Clinton is a fine and dandy lady. Email it to people who think that Trump was wrong to draw down the military involvement in Syria. Email it to people who might agree with what we're saying. But let's do our best to get this video sent around. And don't forget that in just 20 minutes on patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty and patreon.com/crowdsource the truth, we're going to be beginning our full broadcast where Jimmy and JoAnne will be sharing the records of their visas that allowed them to enter Libya. They're going to be sharing a ton of photos from their personal library from these museums, which have now been destroyed. So it's very important for people to get onto patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty, not only to support Jimmy and JoAnne, but to keep this information flowing. And this is not the type of information that we can just put out on Facebook and YouTube. It's obvious that they're doing whatever they can to prevent you from seeing this information. So there's been a lot of people who have expressed their desire for me to just do everything on YouTube. It's unclear to me if these are legitimate people who have a desire to see the information, or if this is advice from social engineers who want me to put this stuff on YouTube so that it can get banned and I can be kicked off of YouTube. We're trying another plan that will hopefully build out a larger and hopefully more secure platform that's sponsored by the viewers rather than giant corporations that want to shut this down.
Well, Jason, something that I'll say it's painfully evident to us. JoAnne and I have each other. This is our entire organization now. And it's JoAnne, myself, our supporters.
And you.
And the good Lord. That's all we've got.
I'm in good company.
So we're fighting a gallant fight, and we're doing everything we can to get this information out because we know it's important.
Jason, the thing that's so unusual about us is we've never worked for any government. We aren't an operative of any kind. We've never been paid for this to do this. What we are is eyewitnesses to war crimes. And that's something that obviously cannot be allowed out in the public because, any question anybody asks us, we always have an answer because we haven't made anything up. We filmed this and taped this, and we know the people that it happened to.
We're unique. This is raw intelligence. It belongs to us. We were there on the ground. All this is our own information. It wasn't compiled by any hoo-ha or anything. It was done with our little tiny Sony camera.
And we continue to be in touch with the tribes all the time. We know what's happening in Libya on the ground every day. We talk to them. And they are cleaning their country. They are working to get it clean, and we stand behind them in that, and want to help them get their sovereignty back.
$1 trillion worth of damage has been done to that country. $1 trillion.
Stunning.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So we want everybody to, of course, we need the support, but we want everybody to remember you become a part of our community to help us get this information out. It's important. It's stunning information. It's heartbreaking information, but we are an authentic source.
You can become a patron for as little as $2 a month.
That's true.
Which isn't a lot.
Right, and the idea is that it keeps the broadcast sustainable. We want to try to change the model for how news is monetized. I mean, the way it works right now, somebody like me who thinks it's a great idea to be a journalist and bring people information, well, I'd have to go up to Fox News or CNN or the New York Times or whatever. They'd say, hey, you're a loser, get to the back of the line, or they'd pay me a ton of money to come and lie to people. And the second I said, well, wait a minute, but Jimmy and JoAnne have an important story about Libya, they'd say, yeah, you like getting paid all that money, shut up about Libya, and they throw you out. So with this method, by distributing the sponsorship over hundreds and hopefully thousands eventually of viewers in small amounts, like you're saying, JoAnne, $2 a month, $5 a month, it doesn't put any undue financial burden on any individual, but it also prevents some rich person from controlling the information that goes out. I also want to remind people that they can visit Jimmy and JoAnne's website, LibyanWarTheTruth.com, and sponsors of Jimmy and JoAnne's Patreon page are going to get free shipping when they order the Escape from Al-Qaeda DVD. This is a DVD that Jimmy and JoAnne put together. It contains a lot of the images that we'll be seeing tonight, but it goes well beyond that. It's got videos, it's got documents of all kinds. It's a $15 DVD, and people who sponsor Jimmy and JoAnne on patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty, you're going to get free shipping on that DVD. So it's a really great way that you can support Jimmy and JoAnne. I'm absolutely stunned by the shadow banning that's going on. Our Periscope viewers tell us there was a notification on Periscope, but I mean, again, if you look at every other broadcast I do on Crowdsource the Truth, this is a minimal audience. I don't know that I have another broadcast that's gone for 15 minutes with only 99 people watching.
Well, that's happened to us. This is constant, and
they put drugs in our cars. They have sent the FBI to our house a number of times. We've been told to shut up or we won't have a life by the CIA.
The computer in our car was zapped, and it was heading headlong at full speed into traffic on an expressway outside of Dallas. So, they've tried to get rid of us, but we've had a hell of a lot of divine intervention, and we really, we need everybody that's a part of our community. Really keep us in your prayers and pass out the information. Make sure that your friends and everybody, ask them to go over and take a look at this stuff, because this is important information, and we're the only source for raw intel from that part of the world, and we have this body of evidence, and thank goodness, Jason, you helped us get a lot of that. We were blocked so many times on YouTube. We were absolutely shut down every time we turn around. All our information
we've been shut down. We've been shut down on radio shows where they just turned it off. It just turned into white noise. Had that happen, one radio show, the guy had to call us on his cell phone to even get it to connect. So
it's unbelievable. They really want to stop this information from coming out. We're just a few minutes away from beginning our broadcast on patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. People are reminding me that Ole Damagard made an announcement this morning on Light on Conspiracies with Ole Damagard, another sponsor-exclusive show on Patreon. Ole was using his Damagarding method of anticipating what could be a major terrorist attack, according to Ole, on October 24th. Multiple targets in Europe, as announced by this Swedish politician. People can check that out. I've posted it on Twitter, and they can also listen to Light on Conspiracies with Ole Damagard on the Crowdsource the Truth Patreon page. But this is why it's important to subscribe on Patreon, not just to Crowdsource the Truth, but to the individual co-hosts like Jimmy and JoAnne. So I hope that people will take the time to go over to patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty. We're just about 10 minutes away, 12 minutes at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be starting over there. Jimmy, JoAnne, anything you guys want to say in the last few minutes before we begin the second half of the show?
It's going to be real. People will enjoy this because it's going to be more of a slideshow than anything else, kind of a tour of a lot of parts of Libya and the museum. We have one video where we're driving in a car. They can see the roads in Libya. So it'll be real interesting.
These are things that no longer exist. They've been destroyed, and that's a real hard thing for us to remember. But there's a whole lot of information that they're going to see it here, and it's not going to be available anywhere else ever because it's all been destroyed.
It's really
pretty sad.
Just so unnecessary, sad. Like, why do that? There's no point. So I hope that people will join us, get a look at some of these artifacts which are lost forever now. Just pure destruction, totally senseless. Anyway, Jimmy, JoAnne, thank you both so much. I'll see you in just a few minutes on patreon.com/James and JoAnne Moriarty, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth, and subscribestar.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Thank you very much to all of the generous sponsors that make these shows possible. And yeah, YouTube won't let people post the link to Ole's warning, but people can go over to Twitter and retweet that, share that. We'll see everybody in just a few minutes for Unseen Libya with Jimmy and JoAnne Moriarty. Thanks for watching, everybody.